Hey guys, welcome back to Fundamentally Crypto, where I teach you how to navigate the cryptoverse. So in today's video, we will be discussing the Take Flight release that's happening on the 20th of February, which is next week. And we're going to be looking at, different scenarios that could potentially take place and what you can expect from the price action. Please keep in mind that, this is completely speculative. Nobody knows what's going to happen. But for those that want to take a longer term view, I don't think this is really going to matter at all when we look back in 6 months. So if you don't want to take on the risk, you can literally just buy the tokens now. I still think they're at a great price, and then stake them and enjoy your life. Cool. So we can firstly look at what is the current situation. So currently the circulating supply is at roughly 82.4 million tokens, which represents 8.24% of the supply, which is not a lot. Secondly, that puts the current market cap at $408 million with a GLMR price of $4.96. And then lastly, the current fully diluted valuation is $4.96 billion, which is relatively small compared to the other layer ones. Yeah. So we want to know what's going to happen after take flight. So we know that roughly 98 million tokens will be unlocked to take flight participants, which means it will now be in their hands and they can decide, I want to sell this on the market, or I want to stake it, or I want to do whatever. Keep in mind that it's not just people that invested into this. It will probably also have been exchanges and, different parties. So we know that the circulating supply should increase to between 18 and 20%. Okay, so that means there'll be 180 to 200 million tokens in circulation. And then secondly, the market cap, assuming a $5 GLMR, it will rise to $1 billion. Okay, and that means the fully diluted market cap will still be at $5 billion. Just remember, this isn't the only drop that's happening, even though everyone's talking about it. We know that on the March 11th and April 11th, there'll be a 2% and 1.75% token unlock for strategic funders, and then also for the seed funding. And in addition to that, there's still going to be the monthly crowd loan rewards. So, I mean, you can look at all of this and say, wow, why would I even buy now? But remember, this is just normal. It's part of a normal token release schedule, part of tokenomics. Um, you shouldn't look at these specific drops and say, okay, no, this is going to have a major price effect. Cool. So that takes us into our first scenario. Please remember, this is all speculative, and these are just some scenarios I could think of. If you got any other scenarios that I didn't mention below, please drop it in the comments and we can discuss it as a community. So in the first scenario is the price bleeds until the 20th of February. And then it wicks down one last time as all of the take flight participants sell the tokens, which is what everyone expects, which means the bottom is in, people ape in, and the price pumps. Now, this seems a bit too obvious if you ask me. I know everyone expects this, but market expectation versus reality is always very different. So I wouldn't bet your bottom dollar on just buying right at the bottom on the 20th of February, because you don't even know if the guys are going to sell. But in this case, this is sort of what it would look like on the chart. So if you look at what it would look like on the chart, we saw obviously the initial pump when it launched. It pushed all the way back up to around $15 to $20, depending on the exchange. And then it's pretty much been in a systematic downtrend since then. And after that, it reached a bit of sideways movement from this point. And now, I see this as consolidation. So I think what people are expecting is they're expecting it to bleed, wick down, and then they think it's just going to V-shape recovery. So this is what scenario one would look like on the chart. So in our second scenario, you can think about the take flight participants expect this because obviously everyone's talking about it. So they decide, no, I'm not going to sell at release, and they rather dump once everything is pumped. So what this would look like is it's a bit of game theory. 20th of February comes, suddenly everyone thinks, yo, nothing happened to the price. Let me ape in. They ape in, price pumps to $10. Take flight people are like, cool, this is what we expected. And then they drop it on your head, and then the price crashes again. Remember, this is speculative, but this doesn't seem that probable because um, you know the take flight participants would have to sort of collude and work together and stuff. Um, but again, you can't rule it out. I think it would be quite a smart move, but we'll see what happens. Cool. Our third scenario would be where collusion actually does take place. So you can now imagine all the take flight participants have their own little Telegram group, and they say, okay, guys, we're going to sell this at $7. We're going to buy in at $3 again. So they coordinate to dump and then buy in low again. Probably not going to happen. Or the take flight participants only sell a small portion of their holdings, which sounds a bit more realistic. So let's say they got 10,000 glimmer tokens. They decide, okay, I'm just going to sell 3,000 of them and then hodl the rest and stake it. And then use that 3,000 maybe to buy in a bit lower if the price does go down. So another scenario you can think of is, the reason these people got into take flight is one, because they believe in the project, and they were committed to the vision of the project before most of the other people were, or they just got lucky and they saw this thing and they invested into it and now they've made a lot of money. But probably the the first option is more realistic. So they receive their tokens, they believe in the long-term value of the project, they're not willing to risk selling their tokens now. So they just hodl it, they stake it, they earn their staking rewards, which means the price doesn't dump, but people overreact and buy back in, which would, the net result would still be price goes up after take flight. So then another scenario you can think of is, we are looking somewhat bearish. Currently, I think Bitcoin's at around, roughly 42.5K, on its way to test the 40K level again. If that doesn't hold and it doesn't make a higher low, then it's likely to go down and test 30K again, which will result in a broader market sell-off, which would obviously be entry of a lifetime. So in this case, I don't think the take flight participants would sell at such a low price. They would rather hold off, and probably just hold it for the long term and sell whenever the price is a lot higher. So in this case, I think a lot of people are looking at take flight and what's going to happen, but they should obviously also be looking at what's happening with Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin does go down, we're going to go down with it, and then take flight will be completely irrelevant. So this scenario is, I think it's quite realistic, because I mean, if you look at most of the exchanges, I don't think there is enough liquidity to even handle a dump if everyone did dump. So what I mean by that is, if all the take flight holders had to sell, theoretically their 100 million glimmer, there wouldn't be enough buyers, which means obviously the price would get absolutely slaughtered. But on the order book, it would just gap down because there wouldn't be enough buy orders in the order book. So it wouldn't even make sense for the take flight participants, because they won't get, let's say their market orders sell at $5. It'll probably gap down to $1, and then they'd get a lot less than they bargained for. So, I don't really think there is enough liquidity. So this means that most people will hold off buying. So it won't even make sense to try and dump, because you'll just gap down on the order book. So that's just another way to think of it. And, bringing all of these together, I think you must realize that this is a really good layer one. The price now is already somewhat low. I'm pretty sure you'll look back in 1 year and say, why didn't I buy at this price? Um, there's no real point taking your whole stake and just trying to gamble at current prices. So guys, remember, this is crypto. Expect the unexpected. And I want to encourage you not to have tunnel vision. Don't get set in your ways and say, this is going to happen or that is going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen with take flight. We can think we do, and then the market does something completely different. Remember to take Bitcoin into account. Remember to take the broader market into account. And, what I suggest is just DCA. I mean, you're not going to catch the bottom. In the end, you'll look back at a sub $5 glimmer and ask yourself why you didn't just ape in at those prices. Even if the market does go down to $2 or $3, I mean, if you take the DCA strategy, you'll still benefit from it. And if we pump to $10, you'll still benefit from it. So I think don't get set in your ways, and try and keep a contrarian view in crypto. Don't get influenced by what everyone is saying and try and act contrary to the herd. So, yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe if you found this useful, and comment below if you've got any other ideas of what will happen. It will be very interesting to hear your thoughts. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Cheers.